Last week, the Arkansas State Board of Corrections refused to approve Secretary Porfuri's thoughtful, informed, and desperately needed request to open up hundreds of additional prison beds. This is simply unacceptable. For far too long, there has been a revolving door in our state's prison system. Criminals commit crimes, get sentenced by the court system, and then, because of a shortage of bed space, are let back out on the streets with just a slap on the wrist. We must enforce the law and quit putting our citizens' lives at risk. I've said it before, and I'm saying it again. The failed status quo will not continue as long as I'm governor. We have the space, we have the resources, we have the personnel. All that stands between us and a safer, stronger Arkansas is bureaucratic red tape.
Where's the lectern, Sarah? Where's the lectern? I can't see it. There's some red, foggy graphic covering it up. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. You see how she covers up where the lectern would be? And the lectern that she spoke at is not the actual Falcon lectern that she claims she purchased from her friend Virginia Beckett at Beckett Events back in June for $19,000. Seems like Sarah Huckabee Sanders was just partying with her friend Virginia Beckett and Hannah Stone in Paris in June, and then mysteriously gave $19,000 to her friend Virginia Beckett and Hannah Stone, who started this new company, Beckett Events, having nothing at all to do with lecterns, but they got paid $19,000 for a Falcon lectern. Sarah Huckabee Sanders showed it to the local newspaper, the Democrat Gazette, once. No one's ever seen this lectern again. It didn't even look like a real Falcon lectern. If it was a real Falcon lectern, it would be about $7,500, not $20,000. It seems like a fake Falcon lectern that the photographs were of. So it seems like this was more, I don't know, $500 to $1,500. But the lectern has left the building. There's an investigation by the legislature in the ethics investigation into potential issues regarding the expenditures for the lectern and what's been going down with the lectern. But no one's seen this lectern again. So what does Sarah Huckabee Sanders do right now? Well, she's got to project that she's tough on crime while many are suspecting her of engaging in crime. What do you do when you're a MAGA Republican on the defense? Well, you go on the offense and you just say, I'm tough on crime. This whole thing that you saw at the beginning there, that press conference, was total BS. It's just so performative and it's so typical MAGA. Because let's face it, there are a lot of issues that truly should be addressed in Arkansas. For example, Arkansas ranks 47th in education with 81% of 8th graders not proficient in math. 48th for its percent of bachelor degree holders, 42nd in child health with 37% of people ages 10 to 17 overweight or obese, the second highest in the nation teen birth rate, 49th in crime, 40th in infrastructure. I could go on, but there Sarah Huckabee Sanders has this performative press conference where she brings on her AG, Tim Griffin, and they attack the independent corrections division and corrections director, who is not even disagreeing with her necessarily. There was a hearing held by the Division of Corrections earlier in November where they were actually open to and entertaining the idea of adding 500 new beds to the prisons. They weren't against it. They needed more data about it, so they continued the meeting. They needed some other administrative things to happen. But then Sarah Huckabee Sanders immediately then holds that press conference to just attack the Division of Corrections so she can seem like a tough guy and try to distract the attention of everybody. Let me show you actually what went down. This is as reported in the Arkansas Times. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders called an unusual press conference Friday morning to pressure the independent Arkansas Board of Corrections to do her bidding more quickly. A team of legislators and law enforcement officers stood with Sanders and State Attorney General Tim Griffin as they accused the Corrections Board of stonewalling on a proposed temporary expansion of prison capacity. Sanders and others said Corrections Board members voted last week against opening up hundreds of temporary prison beds indicating that they are somehow soft on crime. Quote, the failed status quo will not continue as long as I am governor, she said. Griffin went a step further. That's the AG. Quote, the actions of the Board of Corrections make Arkansans in this room and all around this state less safe, he said, before calling for constitutional and statutory change to narrow the Correction Board's authority. Reached by phone Friday morning, Board of Corrections Chairman Ben Meiselas declined to comment except to say that he had no idea that the governor was even holding a press conference here to begin with. One might assume, based on the tone of that press conference that y'all just saw, that the Correction Board is a cabal of prison abolitionists hell-bent on blocking the governor's agenda. In fact, Magnus, the Division of Corrections director, was appointed by Sanders' dad, Mike Huckabee, and Magnus served on Sanders' law enforcement coalition during her gubernatorial campaign just last year. Even more confusingly, an audio recording of that meeting indicates that board members were in fact open to adding more prison beds, but a vote on the issue just simply wasn't scheduled for that day. So you had the Division of Correction Director Dexter Payne at the November 6th meeting was getting this request for a temporary extension on behalf of Joe Porfiry, Sanders' Secretary of Corrections. And so really all they did at this hearing that took place back in November 6th was just say, okay, we're kind of open to this idea of prison beds. It may or may not work. There are a lot of people who say adding more prison beds certainly doesn't reduce the crime. And there are systemic issues like those numbers that I gave you earlier, which is contributing to the massive crime, and just doing performative things like adding beds and saying, I'm a tough guy, I'm a tough woman, I'm a tough person, doesn't actually solve the underlying problems, which Sarah Huckabee Sanders has no use or even willingness to actually try to address. But the Division of Corrections was open to this plan. That's the wild thing. And then she then did this press conference with all of the law enforcement, everyone's in their cowboy hats and this and that, and saying, we're tough on crime, here's what we're doing. And it's just a bunch of freaking BS. And that's the problem with this performative crap I have a big problem with. And why is she doing this? Because she doesn't actually do things for the people of Arkansas. And we see that over and over again. But how legacy media, how people try to project that. I want to give a shout out to the Arkansas Times. They actually told what went down the right way, but I can't say the same for other legacy media that just play those sound bites. So people watching at home go, oh, she must be tough on crime. She must be law and order, while she's the one contributing to the systemic issues that are causing the crime in the first place, and then doing a BS press conference like that. Folks, here's the thing with Sarah Huckabee Sanders: corrupt to the core. And the reason I focus on the Lectern Gate scandal is because that is symptomatic of everything. If you're willing to give your buddy $20,000 for a BS lectern and then not even show the public where this lectern is anymore, and then just try to hide it and conceal it, she then tries to change the public records law to exempt her from having to produce records relating to her travel and other things. When you engage in that behavior, it reeks of deeper levels and layers of corruption. The people of Arkansas, the people of our country deserve so much better than that. But what are the tactics? What are the tactics of an authoritarian? What you just saw. I could just get people distracted, not have them look at my corruption, and I'm just going to go attack an independent division of corrections that may even agree with me. I don't care if I destroy their reputation. I don't care if I just misrepresent what they do. In my craven, callous, trying to capture power and manipulate people, while the people of Arkansas and the people of many of these states are suffering, you have governors just doing crap like that. And I don't want to just say, oh, it's just a Republican thing. I want to call corruption out in general, but that's the epicenter right there. What you're seeing right there. And again, why is it happening? Why is she projecting all this? Because she's corrupt to the core. She's trying to cover up her own scandals, and she thinks she can do that by having press conferences like that. So people will go, oh, she's tough on crime. No, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, let me be very clear one more time what went down, because we here at the MeidasTouch Network are not going to Men in Black and erase from our memory that Lectern Gate is happening. It continues to happen, and we will not let up on this story here on the MeidasTouch Network. Back in June, you went to Paris with your buddies, Virginia Beckett, Hannah Stone. At that same period of time, your public records request showed that you paid your friend Virginia Beckett $20,000. When Matt Campbell, the lawyer and person who did the public records request, tried to dig deeper, you claimed it was for a lectern, a $20,000 lectern. There's then a September email from an administrative officer within the procurement department in Arkansas that then says that she was instructed to manipulate the invoices to put for reimbursement so that the Arkansas Republican Party would then reimburse the taxpayer $20,000 for this BS lectern that nobody's even seen. This lectern, the Democrat Gazette showed one picture of it. We don't know if it's a rental. Where is it? Even if you spend $20,000 on a lectern and it was really a $20,000 lectern, which doesn't exist, why are you doing that? With all of those bad stats that are not good stats for Arkansas about its health and its infrastructure and its crime and its education and all of that, why are you spending $20,000 on a lectern, even if it was a valid lectern? But it's not a valid lectern, and that's what you do with everything. And then you treat your constituents, you treat the people of Arkansas like they are dumb. People deserve better than people like Sarah Huckabee Sanders in charge and others. And I hope people are watching what is going down and the tactics to try to cover it up. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers here at the MeidasTouch Network. Have a good one.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.